In this video, we'll be talking about another step, that is almost the last step of the process of the reproduction in flowering plants, that is the seed and the fruits. Now, seeds are formed as a result of the double fertilization, that is the fusion of one female gamete with one male gamete, and the second male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei, that is two polar nuclei, to form the new cell, the endosperm. So here the seed is a fertilized ovule, and this ovule has a definite structure. In a normal seed, when we see, the seed has a seed coat. Now this seed coat is actually formed by the integuments, and if you recall the structure of the embryo sac, over here there are two integuments which are found to be present. These two integuments, that is the outer integument and the inner integument. So the seed coat is a double layered structure and is formed by the integuments. The outer coat is known as testa and it is formed by the outer integument. The inner integument forms a structure which is inside the testa and it is known as tegmen. So the testa and tegmen are the two seed coats which are protecting the seed. The next structure, that is the seed, since it is having the fertilized ovule, that has already developed as a zygote and after that as an embryo. So it contains an embryo which will give rise to the plant. Also, the seed has cotyledons. These cotyledons are actually the reserve food material, and we have studied during the process of the post-fertilization event how the cotyledons are formed in monocots and dicots. So the cotyledon basically is a reserve food material in both the dicots as well as in the monocots. Now let us understand what is meant by dicot and what is a monocot. A dicot plant is one in which the seed has two cotyledons. So if the dicot plant, if we talk, it will be having two cotyledons, and this is the embryonal axis. So these two cotyledons are actually the site or the place where the reserve food material is present, and throughout the embryonal axis it will be providing the nutrition. So the dicot stem is classified as albuminous and non-albuminous. The albuminous seeds are those seeds in which during the development of an embryo, the certain reserve food material is still retained. So these are called as endospermic seeds also. Albuminous, that means it will be retaining the reserve food material and not all is being utilized. Example is castor. So such seeds that retain the endosperm or they have the endosperm in spite of the development of the embryo, those are known as albuminous seeds. Whereas non-albuminous or X-albuminous, and they are also known as non-endospermic seeds, in which the endosperm is completely utilized by the embryo as a reserve food material and there is no the endosperm left. So the non-endospermic seeds are those seeds in which the endosperm is completely utilized. However, sometimes in some of the seeds there is nucellus which still remains, and thus those seeds are actually having residual persistent nucleus, and the nucellus over there, it will form the perisperm. Such seeds, example is black pepper. So these are the various type of dicot seeds, that is we are classifying as albuminous and non-albuminous. Similar classification is for monocot, that is non-endospermic and endospermic. I have mentioned some examples over here. Now, this is the structure of the classification of the seed. Now, after the formation of the seed, the seed has a certain dormant period during which it will not germinate, because this is the time when the embryo will continue to multiply. So unless and until it gets a particular favorable environment or favorable conditions, the seed will not germinate. That is what we call it as seed dormancy, and it varies from seed to seed. Certain seeds germinate very fast, some seeds take long time to germinate, but the seed will germinate only unless and until there is a favorable condition which is required, and therefore the seed coat plays a major role. Also, when we study the structure of the seed, there is a structure which is known as micropyle. That micropyle is actually the point from where the nutrient, that is the water, can be absorbed by the seed. So the seed has a structure which is helping it to face or to survive the unfavorable condition, that is with the help of seed coat and cotyledons. Now coming to the fruits. Fruits are a fertilized ovary. So when we say seed is a fertilized ovule and the fruit is a fertilized ovary. So when we study this structure, when we have studied the structure, we have studied that ovary has ovules. So the ovules will be forming the seed, and outside of the ovary will be forming the it will be forming the fruit. The wall of the ovary forms the pericarp of the food. These terms you should be very familiar with. So pericarp is the outer wall of the ovary. Now, when we classify the fruits, there are certain classification, because when we find around us, there are different types of fruits. So, the classification of fruits, we are first classifying them whether the fruit has developed from the ovary or any other part. So, the fruits that develop from the fertilized ovary only, those fruits are known as true fruits. These fruits will be developing from the fertilized ovary only, and no other floral part is playing a role in the development of the fruit. Example is mango, plums, watermelon. There are several examples for it. Now the false fruit, on the other hand, it is a fruit which is formed from the fertilized ovary along with some other floral part. It can be thalamus, it can be receptacle, it can be perianth, it can be calyx. So there are various parts of the plant which may also take part in the formation of the fruit. So example is cashew nut. In the case of cashew nuts, peduncle is playing a role in the formation of the fruit. Apple, which is a very common fruit, it has thalamus. The main edible part over here is the thalamus. The fruit formation is actually not from the ovary. That part that is edible is the thalamus. Banana, there are several examples. So when we classify, the true fruits are actually developed from the ovary itself, and the false fruit in which the fruit is developed from the ovary, that is the fertilized ovary, but also some other floral part is playing a role in the development of a fruit. The second classification is based upon whether the fruit are developing from the single ovary or multiple ovary. So we'll be studying on to that. Also, when we classify that, simple fruits are one in which single ovary develops into fruit from a flower. So when a single ovary is forming a fruit from a single flower, then it is known as simple fruit. Aggregate fruits are those fruits when the fruit develop from multiple pistils. We have studied about multiple carpellary. So when the fruits are developing from multiple pistils, then from single flower, then it is known as a aggregate fruit. Composite fruit is one in which the fruit develops from complete inflorescence. So there are three types of fruits. over here, depending upon whether single ovary is playing a role in it, or whether it is the multiple pistils are playing a role in the formation of the fruit, or if the entire inflorescence is playing a role in the formation of the fruit. So we have simple, aggregate and composite. Now, when we talk of the fruits, there are certain fruits which are parthenocarpic. Parthenocarpic fruits are actually those fruits which are formed without fertilization. So here there is formation of the fruit without fertilization. There is no fertilization over here. Normally these are seedless. And these fruits, for example the banana. Banana is a parthenocarpic fruit and does not have seed. So the fruits which are formed without the process of fertilization and are seedless are known as parthenocarpic fruits, and the process is known as parthenocarpy. Now parthenocarpy can also be artificial or it can be natural. In some plants it is happening naturally, but we can induce parthenocarpy in certain kinds of fruits to have a peel. That means sometimes we don't like in some fruits the seeds, so we can induce the growth hormones or certain kind of hormones that will induce artificial parthenocarpy in a plant and will result into a fruit which is seedless. So parthenocarpic fruits are also false fruits, and there are some major differences between the true fruits and the false fruits. So that we'll be studying later on. Thank you.